pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the first time in 6 to 10 years of schooling that I actually learned and memorized the Pledge of Allegiance. When I was really young, I knew we had to do the pledge every day, and I went about 3 years in my school career saying it every morning. In all the different schools that I've gone to, and I've gone to a lot of them, the pledge was said every morning. I was never really taught what the pledge actually meant to someone, which was something that I later found out for myself in my own research. Once I realized what the pledge actually meant, I stopped saying it. Though I was really young, there were things I experienced that a typical child wouldn't experience. I experienced injustice, pain, and many other things that made me realize what the pledge I said every morning was full of lies. This pledge in a way hurt me. Not just me, but hundreds of other Americans and thousands of more people in this country. I was just a simple kid that was hurt by a pledge once realizing what was wrong with it. Many people will tell me that I'm wrong, I'm not patriotic enough for my country, nor do I love my country enough or respect the very veterans that fought for this country to become better as the years passed. Even as a child, I realized what was wrong with the pledge. And not just me, but many other similar cases were found amongst other families and children. But what exactly is the purpose of this speech? I want to remind you all that what we do have is our rights. A few of the amendments let us sit or refuse to say the pledge, protect us from receiving punishment even. To many people, sitting during this pledge shows peaceful protest. To others, it's a sign of disrespect to this nation. It reminds us of certain hypocrisies within our pledge. Schools should be allowed to give a student the choice to say the pledge without consequences. After all, due to some certain opinions, it is our right to peaceful protest. Today, we will be discussing why it should be allowed for students and peers to sit during the pledge. Then, we'll speak about the hypocrisies within the pledge itself. And lastly, we'll finish off with reasons as to why people sit during the pledge. So, why should it be allowed for peers and students to sit during the pledge? Simple yet a complicated question. Firstly, did you know that acting out on punishment towards someone is technically not allowed, at least legally? According to a report made by Christopher Zara on February 18, 2019, Cornell Law Schools points out a compulsory state action made to a child not saluting to the pledge violates their First and 14th Amendments. Our First Amendment gives us our freedom of speech, which lets us to refuse to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Our 14th Amendment not only helps in defining our national citizenship, but also on forbidding the states to restrict the basic rights of citizens or of other persons. One of our basic rights also ties with our freedom of speech. Many found articles state that being forced to salute is indeed a violation to our First and 14th Amendment. According to CNN article by Doug Chris on February 19, 2019, along with the Dallas Morning News published by James Barragan, help state this very fact. So, what are some hypocrisies that are considered to be in the pledge? When it comes to hypocrisies, there are a few main ones. Our first hypocrisy is something that really isn't one, but something that is very commonly said to us when we sit or refuse to say the pledge. Many say that when we sit, it's a disrespect towards the very veterans of this country, the veterans that fought for this country and fought for our amendments, all of them, meaning the First and 14th, and our right to peaceful protest. Second hypocrisy comes with the line, one liberty under one God. When it comes to a nation as diverse as the United States of America, not all people believe in God, or people believe in more than one God, which can come with paganism. This line is directed towards Christians and their Christian God, discriminating against Allah, pagans, atheists, and even Satanists. Not to mention, one republic is a lie. This country has gone a long time without being united, especially under one singular God. Third, in our last hypocrisy, for an example, with liberty and justice for all. According to Jim Brock, writer of Hypocrisy in the Pledge of Allegiance, published on June 26, 2018, imagine the government deciding from the law, innocent until proven guilty, or guilty until proven innocent. That's not fair for many cases in court. Thus, it doesn't bring true justice for someone in court. Liberty and justice for all should mean exactly what it says. Not just justice for the middle class or high class American citizens, white American citizens. but justice for the African Americans, justice for the undocumented immigrants, justice for the LGBTQ plus community, justice for those that are persecuted for their very religion. For example, the Islamic people. They're very constantly persecuted in this country, which is supposed to be free. Justice should be for all. Lastly, we'll review over some reasons as to why people sit during the pledge. We'll review over a few examples. Our first example is according to Summer Esler, writer of Why I Don't Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the interview with Colin Kaepernick with the NFL media. He says, and I quote, "I am not going to stand to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the streets and people getting away with murder." Kaepernick had his own example. Kaepernick had his own personal reason to kneel during the national anthem, since the pledge doesn't just stop with its hypocrisy for the justice for all part. Our second example, according to Etzler, "One Nation Under One God" was added by Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1954 because of national fear of the threat of Soviet communism. As of now, last time I checked, Soviet communism really isn't one of our modern day problems anymore. Our third reason, once again according to Esler, members of the LGBTQ plus community are easily denied services because of their sexuality, as if their whole sexuality made up their whole being. Our fourth example, according to a questionnaire survey, commenter Tom Robinson explains that as a devout Christian, he doesn't say the pledge due to his Bible saying to pledge no allegiance to man-made fallacies and promises to mankind. In other words, he sees no purpose in promising to man when he can promise to his God. Our fifth example, according to Catherine Chambers, from the same questionnaire survey as Tom Robinson, stated that though there are thousands of immigrants in this country and they were gifted opportunities of living here, this pledge does not abide by them. Many don't care too much for pledging allegiance to a country that is not theirs. Due to all these reasons, I think it's clear as an understanding as to why people should be allowed to sit or refuse to say the Pledge of Allegiance, or to sit during it as well. Today, we were able to cover as to why people should be allowed to sit during the pledge, went over the hypocrisies of the pledge and what people think of us. And lastly, why people have their own reasons as to why people sit during the pledge. For me, this is very important because sitting during the Pledge of Allegiance and not saying it is exercising my right as an American citizen, and not just as an American citizen, but as a Mexican citizen as well, with immigrant parents that came into this country.